In the wake of Big Brother Season 27's finale, runner-up Vince Panaro confronts new complications in his personal life even as he publicly re-emerges. He was recently photographed joyfully driving a friend's vintage red Camaro, a moment of levity amid ongoing tension over his romantic status with longtime girlfriend Kelsey and his intimate on-air involvement with housemate Morgan Pope. While the Camaro ride offered a brief visual respite, the underlying personal drama continues to evolve, raising questions about honesty, reconciliation, and public perception. These photos and videos were published by The Sun. Bold reunion with Kelsey and where the relationship stands. Upon returning to Los Angeles, Panaro reunited with Kelsey on September 30th in what sources described as a somber and emotionally fraught meeting. The pair ran errands, visited a cafe in Malibu, and conversed with little visible affection. He only learned about Kelsey's decision to break up via a fellow contestant on the live finale stage, after having been isolated from news of the outside world during the show. Kelsey reportedly ended the relationship in response to Vince's increasingly intimate behavior toward Morgan Pope during the season, including sharing a bed, whispering sweet words, and engaging in close physical contact. Although they met face-to-face again, sources suggest that reconciliation will demand considerable effort, with Kelsey's trust needing to be rebuilt from scratch. The vintage car moment and public distraction. Just days after that tense reunion, Panaro accepted an offer to test drive a friend's vintage red Camaro. Photographs captured him grinning as he climbed behind the wheel, appearing momentarily carefree despite the surrounding turbulence in his personal life. He and his parents admired the classic car prior to the drive, signaling that the moment was partly escapism and partly public relations, a visual buffer to counteract the swirl of negative media attention. The juxtaposition of lightheartedness, driving a beautiful vintage car, with the weight of personal scandal underscores the tension between maintaining a public image and dealing with raw emotional fallout. Morgan Pope, betrayal claims, and future paths. Morgan Pope, who shared a highly scrutinized showmance with Vince inside the Big Brother house, now accuses him of misleading her about the status of his outside relationship. She reportedly feels betrayed by revelations of Kelsey's prior existence and by the discrepancy between what Vince presented to her and what he withheld. Meanwhile, she is capitalizing on her heightened visibility. Sources claim she has already received offers to appear on reality series such as The Challenge and The Traitors, as well as invitations from Beauty and Fitness. Despite mounting tension, neither Kelsey nor Morgan has definitively closed the door, and Vince's decisions in the coming days may determine which path he pursues: repair, severance, or something in between. Big Brother 27-foot winner Ashley Hollis is open to an all-winner season, so she can get a better edit. The things that shocked me the most were probably Ava, Riley, and definitely Vince, she tells the Wrap of seeing what she missed on. Vince Panaro, Ashley Hollis, and Morgan Pope at the Big Brother 27 finale, Matthew Taplinger/CBS. For Big Brother fans who watched the show on the live feeds this season, Ashley Hollis defeating four-time head of household Vince Panaro in the season 27 finale didn't really come as a surprise. However, if you only casually followed along with the edited show on CBS, the young lawyer's win may have seemed a tad out of nowhere. I haven't watched the show all the way back yet, but the things that shocked me the most were probably like Ava, Riley, and definitely Vince. As people saw on my Instagram, me and Vince were never close. I never even wanted to work with him. That was all strategy. I wanted him out since the early days. But then I started seeing he could take me further. The connection with Morgan, that was always two votes that I would have, because him and Morgan were obviously very close, as people saw. Morgan was running that man in the game, Hollis told the Wrap. I knew I would always be safe with him, even though we didn't really vibe. But to see how my name was in his mouth 24/7, I'm like, okay, his breath must have been hot. I wasn't the biggest fan of Vince, but he definitely wasn't on the forefront of my mind every single day like I was on the forefront of his. That shocked me, Ashley added. Ava's comments about Rachel shocked me. Ava's comments even about me the first few weeks shocked me. That was a one-sided beef, fully. I did not have beef with Ava. And I think Riley, hearing that he said he wanted to trip me, seeing the way he talked to Catherine. Those 3 things shocked me. Big Brother producers defend controversial hamster wheel competition twist, exclusive. Alison Grodner and Rich Meehan also discuss the possibility of including the twist in future seasons. For Big Brother executive producers Alison Grodner and Rich Meehan, it only made sense to move one of the franchise's most dramatic twists from the Christmas-themed spin-off series Big Brother Reindeer Games to the flagship show. Instead of staging a standard elimination competition involving a hamster wheel maze, Reindeer Games introduced a diabolical twist. The first player taking it on would be eliminated if they could not finish it in under 5 minutes and 30 seconds. However, if they completed it in time, the next person would have a minute less to do it. And each person after that would have 1 minute less than the person before, with the pattern continuing until someone was eliminated. The drama reached its apex when Brittany Haynes shockingly solved the maze in 3 minutes and 30 seconds and then chose Danielle Reyes to go next, even though Taylor Hale was volunteering. Danielle was eliminated, and the conflict between the two carried over all the way into their appearance on The Traitors. The hamster wheel concept was praised by fans and turned Reindeer Games into must-see TV. What could possibly go wrong with bringing the same twist onto the flagship series, one in which players are voted out instead of eliminated solely through competitions? The hamster wheel chain competition popped up on day 60 of Big Brother season 27 as part of the White Locust twist and once again made for undeniably riveting television, but this time, the fan reaction was something else: outrage. "Oh, it was peak," says Grodner of the viewer indignation. The source of that indignation stemmed from 2 sources: the fact that the person eliminated was evicted without any sort of vote, or veto, and that the person who was eliminated was none other than Iconica herself, fan favorite Rachel Riley. Grodner and Meehan spoke to Entertainment Weekly about the controversial twist, and the producers pushed back at the suggestion that Rachel was eliminated by a purely athletic competition that ignored social and strategic gameplay. "I think that's off base," says Grodner. "There absolutely was a social element to this. In Reindeer Games as well. Remember, not everyone was going to go into that wheel. So your relationships and where you stood in the hierarchy of things and your threat level and the way that you worked in those 10 minutes and jockeyed for position were key." Grodner points to how the eventual season winner approached the chain, taking a completely different tack than Rachel. "Look at Ashley. Ashley was part of that same alliance that Rachel was in, but yet no one said to put her in the wheel. Why was that? I think that the way that you worked those intervals was critical in terms of your survival during the White Locust twist. So I do think there's a social element." Meehan concurs. "It was absolutely built to be social and strategic as well as competitive." He also argues that diluting the stakes of the hamster wheel for regular Big Brother would have taken everything out of what made the competition so great to begin with. People loved it on Reindeer Games, right? It was an amazing moment. And the reason why we were like, well, it can never really live in Big Brother, is because what made it so great was the stakes. If it was the hamster wheel and it was just the nominees, it would just be another version of Big Brother. And I know people were clamoring for those higher stakes, and a lot of people really did enjoy it. The producers also point out that all the elements of a typical Big Brother week were at play in that single competition, including the first Survive the White Locust challenge that Ava Pearl won to kick everything off, even if it was in a slightly different order. When it was originally designed, we looked at the layers of Big Brother from a social and strategic level, explains Meehan. And if you look at a week of old-school pre-blockbuster Big Brother, you had an HOH competition that you could save yourself, and you had a veto competition that you could save yourself. And then you had the vote at the end where you could save yourself. Meehan says they then incorporated all of those elements into the White Locust twist. So when we looked at this we're like, well, the initial challenge is kind of like an HOH, you can save yourself. But then you start to chain, and if you get sent to the hamster wheel, it's kind of like a veto, where you have the opportunity to save yourself. Now, the big difference is instead of saving yourself with a vote after, you have to save yourself with a vote before. So you have to strategically and socially figure out how you're going to play that to determine whether you're going into the wheel with enough time, or whether you're going to avoid going into the wheel. So the social and strategic element precedes it versus happening after. You still had two chances to save yourself, me and notes, and you still had a social, strategic